Matt Schweiker, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Live here right where Litespeed manufactures all the titanium frames. I'm an ultra endurance racer, bikepack racer, an ambassador for Litespeed, and here today to talk about the Tour Divide. Yeah, so the Tour Divide is a roughly 2,700 mile course that starts in the north in Banff, Alberta, Canada, and traverses the Canadian Rockies through crossing the US border in Montana. You hit a section of Idaho, a big section in Wyoming through the mountains, and then also through the Great Basin, staying in the Rockies through Colorado. Then you get to New Mexico, where you have a variety of terrain, mountains, and then you finish in the desert at the Mexican border in Antelope Wells, which I believe is one of the most remote US-Mexico border crossings. And the biggest challenge of the Tour Divide is its length and the variety of weather and terrain that you encounter. So you just have to be prepared for so much. Cockpit setup is really important. You're spending so much time on the bike that this is something that you've really got to get dialed in for both comfort and efficiency, because you also have a lot of moving parts here. So with my cockpit, I have a carbon bar which soaks up a lot of the chatter. You're on the bike so much that anything you can do to kind of help pressure on your hands, wrists, fingers is good. So this is a carbon bar by SQ Labs with a 15-degree back sweep. The grips are ESI Chunkies, and the bar ends are Cane Creek. The thing I really like about these Cane Creek bar ends is they have a little bit of negative space. And then just for the sake of having as many hand positions as possible, when you move in on the bar, I've got some also SQ Lab bar ends, so that gives you another hand position. And then I wrap those with some pretty heavy duty bar tape, so just additional comfort. I've profiled designs aero bars with a 50 mil spacer. We're not like triathletes where aerodynamics is of the utmost importance. The purpose of these aero bars is most importantly for comfort, again, ergonomics to get you off your hands. It doesn't hurt though to have a little bit of aerodynamics. We had really high winds in the basin and in New Mexico, so just to kind of be able to crouch down and get that wind over your head does pay some dividends and make you a little faster. So I think one of the fun things about getting your setup dialed and testing it out are just kind of some of the small efficiencies that you're kind of proud of and that you figure out. And you kind of only learn through just kind of messing and tinkering with your setup, and that's one of the most fun parts. And two of the things that I figured out that I really kind of helpful and just kind of made me happy that I liked were this bottle cage has an adjustable clasp, and this thing turned out to be so helpful because in sections where there wasn't a lot of water, I could really get a huge bottle in there and then just clamp it down and know that it's not gonna fall out. So you can accommodate a wide variety of water bottle sizes. And then also, that was where I kept my bear spray. So for the first, from Banff to Pinedale, Wyoming is grizzly territory. So the smart people carry bear spray. And this is actually where I mounted my bear spray. I heard horror stories of people having it in their frame bags or having it on their body and it busting. So this seemed like a really cool place. And then also this little tethering system that I figured out last minute. I repurposed a cell phone running strap that I bought from like a Fleet Feet type store in Canada. And I was able to use a small carabiner and two tethers to make sure that both my bike computer and then my Garmin Messenger, which is what we use for tracking, were both tethered on the bike. And again, it's the small things that make the big difference, because if you lose your GPS or you lose your Messenger, I mean, you're almost out of the race. It's a big challenge to overcome. And so just to kind of have these little kind of small things like this tethering system, I like it. It makes me happy. I don't know why. All right, so yeah, just kind of a deeper dive into some of the gear that got me through the Tour Divide. So starting up front with the sleep system, you know, this bag is where I kept a lot of the electronics. So, you know, and some just hygiene stuff, wipes, hand sanitizer, charging, passport, a big battery bank. And so at night, just unstrap this bag, and then real easy to just get to the sleep system. Just laid out and organized like for maximum efficiency is a bivy, which is an OR helium bivy. And then I can just like literally get in this right now if it's laid out. So an OR helium bivy with a Western Mountaineering 30-degree sleeping bag, a NeoAir, let's see what model this is. It's a NeoAir X-Lite NXT insulated sleeping bag, and then just a small Sea to Summit pillow. So sometimes I blew the sleeping mat up. Other times, if the ground was matted and you know, I had a little bit of cushion, I wouldn't even bother to blow it up. But it was just real easy to just roll up. You can see that, you know, in less than a minute, I can basically have found a nice place to sleep and, you know, have this thing packed and unpacked. In the frame bag was a lot of food, but also kept some extras like, you know, I brought 2 tubes, a pump, some zip ties, a water filter, which can't speak highly enough of this Katadyn Be-Free 1 liter water filter. And let's see, you know, a really small layer jacket is really nice. This thing is not waterproof, but it's windproof. And to have quick access to a layer like this just kind of keeps you moving. In the back, in this rear bag, was a lot of the clothes. So again, just big temperature swings, and so got to have a good rain jacket. This is an this is an Arc'teryx rain jacket, and one thing that I thought was really helpful was to separate money and identification. So I had a passport, cash, and a card in this pouch right here, but also had a backup of that in the pockets of this Arc'teryx jacket. You know, ran a small base layer. I probably would have taken leg warmers next time, but that was nice to have. You know, toothbrush, a pair of Gore windstopper gloves. Those were my thickest gloves that I ended up using. A small hat like this, wool hat, the weight to warmth ratio on that is just really high. This is one of my favorite pieces of gear. I'm a big fan of this brand. I don't know if they pronounce it Pedal Ed or Pedaled, but I mean, this lightweight merino wool jersey, I wore this 80% of the time. These pockets are really big. I mean, this was an awesome piece of kit for the Divide. Some windstopper gloves that you can actually put, these are covers to put over the gloves. We've got a lot of rain, and so yeah, just a little thing to do to kind of stay dry and stay warm. Let's see, again, another Pedal Ed piece of gear that I thought was awesome was just this insulated vest that also has the jersey pockets in the back. That thing was awesome. I kept that. I wore that almost nonstop. I don't wear chamois, so just some basic Patagonia shorts, and then some REI wool underwear. Took 2 pairs of socks, so one insulated pair of socks, and then another just lightweight, quick drying, I'd actually strap these to the bags during the day to dry them out sometimes. So 2 pairs of socks, you know, some like REI, since you're not wearing a chamois, just some REI merino wool briefs, 2 pairs of those. And then this thing is pretty clutch. I really like this. This is another Patagonia piece of gear, and it's actually, I think, designed as part of their fishing line, but it has a hood and it covers your arms, and so it's really lightweight, and when you get it a little bit wet, it actually cools you down, kind of like just sweating does. And this was really nice for the sun. I mean, the sun was brutal in some of the places, and so to kind of be able to cover up with this and stay cool was big. And then a pair of just, I mean, there's nothing fancy about these. I think this is like the REI version of Canada, Mountain Equipment Company, but just a pair of rain pants. Everything you're packing, you're trying to make multifunctional. So this was nice in the rain, but it was also nice in the mornings when it was really cold. I'd just throw these on as an extra layer. So that, I mean, really with that kit right there, you're able to stay comfortable in a wide variety of temperatures. And then last thing that's kind of hidden in here, or last 2 things, a Mulberry Gap buff. So just kind of, this thing's multi-purpose as well. Clean sunglasses, wipe things off, but also kind of throw this over your mouth for real dusty sections, but also for, you know, when it's cold to kind of take the bite off. And then also really love this thing. Again, Patagonia. I got a sale on it because it's an ugly color, but it's a 1/4 zip down jacket that you can, this thing packs down to, you know, the size of an apple. So again, warmth to weight ratio on this thing is really high, and it packs down really nice. So that's actually a lot of clothes, and I felt really prepared, and there was never a time when I felt too cold. So I think I had that part of the setup dialed in. So kind of final thing to cover is tools, and extra parts are, it's always a gamble because you can't prepare for everything that can happen out there. So you just kind of got to find the line between what you know how to fix and the tools that you're able to carry without weighing yourself down too much. So I was able to have a pretty clean run. The only problems that I had was the clutch on my rear derailleur broke. So it's a really cool bike shop in Colorado Springs, or in Steamboat Springs, that's en route, and it almost felt like a NASCAR pit stop. It was really cool. You'd roll in there, you told them exactly what was wrong with your bike. They re-greased my bottom bracket, changed my brake pads, threw a new chain on, and put a new derailleur on, and all while they were doing that, they showed me a place to get a burrito, and I took a nap in their courtyard. So big shout out to them. It was awesome, but I didn't really have to tap into this tool bag at all, but figuring out what tools to carry along the route was a little bit stressful, and it's just a big decision. So I'm running a tubeless setup, which I think everybody knows is kind of the way to go on these Maxxis Icons. So those were set up tubeless, but I did bring 2 tubes just in case, you know, I got a flat, I could throw a tube in. I had a patch kit. I also carried some extra sealant so that if I got into a town where I could get to a, you know, a bike shop or a place where I could use like a tire, a generator at a gas station. You know, you can put the valve cores on there that they use for tires and adapters so that you can use any gas station, you know, quarter operated generator pump to get the pressure to reseat your tires and get tubeless back. But some of the other things that I brought, and this is a down tube bag from Tailfin, and Tailfin is a company that I've just been so impressed with. Everything of theirs, while not cheap, is really high quality. So it's kind of worth it. So in here we have an extra cleat. I didn't carry this plastic, but it's back in there, so I just packed it up like that. So tire pump, zip ties, rubber banded together, bull A straps. These things are just useful for so many things, solving so many problems. So the extra cleat and the cleat bolts so that you can keep your clipless setup. Spare pair of metallic brake pads. The metallic kind lasts longer. A wolf tooth pair of pliers that has 2 extra 12-speed Shimano chain quick links inside, so if your chain breaks, can deal with it. Let's see what else we got in here. Patch kit for if the tubes go flat. So really kind of fighting against a flat tire stopping you. Wrench it, 2 park tool, really lightweight shims to help change a tire. You know, these are manufacturer specific, and it's so nice that Litespeed is in Chattanooga because I'm able to just go to the factory and pick up a spare derailleur hanger. Those are one of the things that frequently gets damaged in transit. So a little roll of electrical tape. Sometimes I'll take the electrical tape and I'll wrap it around a water bottle or a little, you know, tube of hand sanitizer, just so that, you know, again, you're kind of saving a little bit of weight from having to carry the roll. In here, just like some little odds and ends, you know, a spare valve core, an adapter, a valve core remover. Let's see what else. Another set of brake pads. Over 2,700 miles, you really burn through brake pads. And then I had another tube, and then a little Dynaplug, an extra Dynaplug. I also ran one that's accessible right here, so that if I got a flat, I could just rip that off. And then, you know, you want a wrench, or you want a pair of Allen keys that has a chain brake on it. And then also just a big thing was just running through beforehand all the bolts on my bike. And I mean, there are so many bolts on here with all these attachments, and just 100% making sure that you have a wrench size for every single bolt on your bike. And so, yeah, and then I think, you know, important is to have some good chain lube. I like this Tri-Flow wet lube, and just having this accessible and just, you know, keeping your drivetrain clean and lubed up will just, you know, help with shifting and, you know, increase the life of your chain.